In this video, we're going to cover the remaining mouse tools in Studio One as they relate to audio editing. So we're going to move on to the range tool. So if we click right here, we select the range tool. The range tool allows us to drag a box that will select a range of our audio events. It could be one or more events. Once we've selected that range, we can then move that range without doing a lot of extra cutting or clipping. So if I just pull that, you can see that that just cuts that free. I can even do a constrained drag from track to track. So if we wanted to add a little echo, say, to one of these beats, we can easily isolate a beat by just putting a range over it and just pull it now to the next track. You could put echo on this track if you want. That's just one quick example. You can also delete using the range tool. So if I drag a range, say I put snap on and want to delete half a measure here, I can just draw a range over an area I want to delete and then hit the delete button, and it actually splits it and takes it out. I think I want to point about the range tool. This is true for most of the tools, is you can get back to the arrow tool from the range tool by holding down Command if you're on a Mac or Control if you're on a PC. So I just press Control and now I temporarily get the arrow until I release Control or Command. And you can see that modifier right here with the info view. You see I can also get to two more important modifiers. The first one is include range. So this is how that works. First I'm going to select a range. I'm releasing the mouse button. Now if I hold down Shift, I can add another range. So if I do like this, I can draw in a more complex range. And you can even adjust the endpoints for these. And then you can do whatever operation you want to do. Like if I want to pull these to the next track, then I can just pull that out. The other thing we can do is the exclude range. As you see up here on the Mac, it's Option Command, and on the PC that would be Alt Control or Control Alt while dragging to exclude a range. So we start with a range, so we drag this range, but now we want to not select this part of the range. I can hold down those modifiers and it will deselect that part. So you have a little more complex way of working with the range tool. That's the range tool. It's pretty simple. Keyboard shortcut 3 takes us to the split tool. Split tool is very obvious. It turns into a knife. Anywhere we click, it will cut. And it will snap to the grid if the grid is turned on, making it very easy for us to chop our waveform up into different little pieces based on the grid, which is what I'm doing right here. Very helpful if you then want to go and do additional editing. You could switch back to the arrow tool with one, or while you're on the cutting tool, hold down Command if you're on a Mac to get all the arrow tool functionality, or you would do the same thing by holding down Control if you're on a PC, and then I can do trimming, resizing. So if you're doing a lot of cutting, you can leave the split tool turned on. Now the next thing we have is the erase tool. Pretty obvious how it works. You just click an event and it deletes it. The nice thing about it is if you have a lot of little events, you can swipe over the area and you can sort of draw and scrub them out to delete them. Now the Paint tool allows you to draw in some blank audio. So if I wanted to fill this in with some blank audio space, I just basically drag this with the pencil tool. Now I've got a nice blank area. If I wanted to, for whatever reason, bounce this together, go back to the arrow tool, select that, do Command B, and I've now bounced with that little blank space in between. This can be useful if you want to just make sure you fill in the space, like you want to make sure that you've got your audio starting from 1. In a situation like this, you can just grab the Paint tool, draw audio back to the beginning, and then select that blank audio along with these other ones and bounce it, and now we're sure that our audio event starts on beat 1. There's other ways to do that. You can do something very similar with the range tool. Now, there's a lot of different shapes you'll notice if you click on the Paint tool, but these are really for use with automation, so we'll be covering that later on. Now this M is the mute tool. Any event that you click is muted. You can tell that an event is muted because of the little symbol right here in the corner. And you click again to unmute an event. If you have multiple events selected, then they'll all be muted together. Now, if I don't have a group of events selected, I can just click on any of them to mute or unmute them. Similar to the erase tool, I can swipe over the set of events to turn them on and off, kind of painting the mutes in. This is the audio bend. This works as a tool in conjunction with the audio bend functionality. We'll cover that in a separate video that's coming up, so I'm not going to talk about it at all right at this point. Next, we'll move on to the Listen tool. That's 8 for the keyboard shortcut. With the Listen tool selected, I just point to the section of audio that I want to audition and click and hold the mouse, and it will play that back until I lift up the mouse button. And you see it adheres to the snap setting. It goes to the previous snap setting from where I point, but if I turn snap off, then it will start from wherever I point with the Listen tool. So notice that as you use the Listen tool, it actually solos the track. If you're in a multi-track project, then as you go into a specific track, you can audition just a little section of audio and it will automatically mute everything else. This saves a lot of time in soloing or muting different tracks so that you can just audition one thing. Now, a really cool modifier to the Listen tool is the shift. If we look at Info View, we can see that shift will cause it to play in a loop. So that will take any event and loop it automatically. So if I hold on shift while clicking this, I'll just repeatedly get this drum. So it just sets the loop over the entire event and then loops it. Very, very handy. It saves a lot of steps if you're doing that. If I want to audition just like this one right back here, I just hold on shift and it starts looping. Spacebar to stop it. So that concludes the discussion of the mouse tools. We've covered all of them at this point and we'll continue to use them as we work more on editing audio in Studio One. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.